Hey everybody, this is GGB. Today we're going to be talking about the three ranked team games we got going on right now. We're going to go over real quick. We got some ranked upsets yesterday, and the interesting part about that is they all came from the Big 12 SEC Challenge, so I can't really go back and recap what happened with their wins and losses because nothing really happened to their standings because of their wins or losses, right? Because they were playing out of conference. Doesn't really matter all that much, except for their chances of making March Madness, which means it does matter a good amount. But LSU, we had our first upset of the day actually in the 11 o'clock window with TCU, which were 3-point underdogs, upsetting LSU at home. Then we had Creighton had a great opportunity to pull off an upset there as well, but unfortunately blew a 16-point lead at halftime. Bad play by Creighton. Really had a chance to make a real chance of getting a very good win to send them to March Madness, but they did not get it, and Xavier got a huge win this weekend. Arizona State almost had a huge win as well over number 3 Arizona. They were tied at halftime. Unfortunately, Arizona came out on top, but nothing to be ashamed of if you're Arizona State. Come very close. Alabama upset Baylor at home. Kentucky upset Kansas on the road. And finally, I got mine, which was Texas, technically speaking by more rules, upset Tennessee at home as well. Tennessee had a really scared me there at the end, Texas, but I pulled it out. Now I don't have to stress about today's game. And speaking of that, we have 3 games going on. 11 o'clock, we got, which is already happening, right? I sorry, this game is going to be coming out a little bit later than I would have liked it to. But 11 o'clock, we had number 16 Ohio State, which is at 13-4, traveling to number 6 Purdue, which is at 17-3. Purdue favored by 9 points on CBS. 11:30, we got number 22 Marquette, which is at 15-6, traveling to number 17 Providence, which is at 17-2. Providence favored by, I believe, only 2 points on FS1. And at 12 o'clock, we had Minnesota, which is at 11-6, traveling to number 11 Wisconsin, which is at 16-3, favored by 11.5 points in the Big Ten Network. So how does these games all affect? So we'll start with the Big Ten because we have 2 games going on the Big Ten. And this is one of those weird days, right, where technically speaking, if you're looking at it, the Big Ten, 5 of the 6 teams that are playing right now in ranked games are ranked teams. So this is like one of those days where we have some really good basketball going on. Might not be a lot of it, but you have some elite teams playing each other. Anyway, so start with the Big Ten. Right now in the Big Ten, Illinois sits in first place at 8-2 in conference, right? Wisconsin has a chance. We'll start with Ohio State and Purdue, right? Purdue and Ohio State sits in 4th place right now. 4th place. With a win they sit at 6-2. So Wisconsin and Michigan State right now are tied at 7-2. So for at least a little bit, if Ohio State wins this game against number 6 Purdue, right? Ohio State moves into a tie for 2nd place. Now, one of 2 things could happen. If Wisconsin wins their game against Minnesota, right, then Wisconsin moves into a tie for 1st place, and suddenly Ohio State's in a tie for 3rd place instead. Now, if Wisconsin is to lose to Minnesota, so that's going to be a game you're watching if you're an Ohio State fan. After you're done with the Purdue game, you're probably going to switch on to the Minnesota-Wisconsin game real quick. Wisconsin, if they lose that game, Ohio State is in a tie for 2nd place with Michigan State. Purdue, on the other hand, with a win, can move to 7-3 and pass Ohio State, who would fall to 6-3. Now, if you're looking at it, Indiana has a 7-4 record, which means they've won 63% of their games, right? If Ohio State is to lose this game, they will have won 6 out of 9, which is a 66%. So if Ohio State loses this game, Ohio State will fall below Purdue, but not yet past Indiana, but they're close, right? So if Ohio State loses this game, they fall to 6-3. Purdue moves to 7-3 and moves into 4th place. Now, if Wisconsin also is to lose to Minnesota, then then Purdue can be in a tie for 3rd place with Wisconsin, with Michigan State having 2nd place, right? So those are the scenarios that we can have play out. In the top half of that thing, I think we went over what happens with all of them with a win or a loss. Actually, I'm sorry. Purdue with a loss drops below Indiana. Indiana passes them, and they enter into a tie for sixth place. Tie for sixth place. We sit in fifth place right now, and they enter a tie with sixth place with Rutgers. And Minnesota with a win moves to 3-6 and into a tie with Penn State for. They would pass Maryland, who sits at 3-7, and they would enter a tie with Penn State, who sits in 10th place. So Penn State fans, big Wisconsin fans today, you don't want to have Minnesota pass you. You want to go up in the standings, not have a team catch up to you. So I think all Penn State fans have agreed that we're not passing Wisconsin, Michigan State, Illinois, or Ohio State, but you could possibly pass Iowa, Michigan, and Rutgers, and I think that's your hope if you're a Penn State fan. But I'm getting sidetracked. If you're looking at it, so if you're not one of these four teams fans, who you're rooting for? So if you're an Illinois fan, big fan of Minnesota today. Same thing if you're a Michigan State fan, a big proponent of Minnesota basketball. Also, if you're a Michigan State fan, going on to the other game, you're going to be rooting for Purdue. Michigan State fans are going to be rooting for Purdue. I think Wisconsin fans likely rooting for Purdue as well. What else? Indiana fans would be huge fans of Ohio State today if they could pull off a victory. And Maryland and Penn State fans, big Wisconsin fans today. It doesn't really matter all that much for Rutgers, Michigan, and Iowa, though. So there's that. Okay, moving on to the other conference we got going on, some play, and we got the Big East, right? Providence, which is first place in the conference, is playing Marquette, which is fourth place in the conference, which would think Providence easy win, right? Especially at home. But Marquette is the hottest team in the Big East and arguably in the entire country. Have won 7 straight. I think you can make an argument that Boise State might be one of the hotter teams in the country, winning 14 straight. But Marquette is like ridiculously hot right now. 7 straight wins. They started out the season 0-3 in conference play. Now sit at 7-3 in conference play. So what happens with a Providence loss? A Providence loss launches Villanova into first place in the conference. So Providence with a loss would move behind Villanova and only in second place in the Big East, right? UConn would still be behind them simply because they would sit at 6-2, and Marquette would sit, and Providence would sit at 7-2. But if you look at this, Marquette would have won 8 out of 11 games, right? If they are to win this game, that's a 72% win percentage, right? You look at UConn. They've won 6 out of 8, which is, in my prediction, 3/4. So again, Marquette with a win. I know it's disappointing for Marquette fans, but you can't move. You're not moving today. Best case scenario. You're not moving regardless, right? If you win this game, you're not moving past UConn. If you lose this game, you're not falling behind Xavier. So regardless, you're not moving if you're Marquette. The only person that would move is Providence with a loss. But they win, obviously they stay in first place. So those are the 3 games I got going on today. And if I'm going to be honest, college basketball upset of the day, I got to go Marquette over Providence. I have to. I mean, the Marquette's just playing at a too elite of a level right now. I mean, I get it. Providence is playing at a high level, too. They're playing some really good basketball right now. And I think the Tucks are one of the best teams in the country. I think they've real chance to mess stuff up come playoff time. But, if you're looking at it, Marquette's one of the hotter teams in the country. I think this is going to be a really good game. But if I had to pick an upset today, and I do, and it probably is going to be an upset today, I like to point out that we're on everyone should be really, appreciating what a streak we're on, right? 11 out of 12 days. Yes, I said that right. 11, oh wait, did I? No. Wait. 10 out of 11 days straight, right? No, 11 out of 12. I was right. 11 out of 12 days, we've had an upset. The only exception being Monday when Texas Tech didn't beat Kansas. But every other day, we had something that would be considered an upset by my standards in college basketball. That is insane, especially in the top 25. It almost never happens, and we've gotten one almost every day. I hope we keep that streak alive. We could have 12 or 13 straight days with an upset that meets one of my criteria. I really like Marquette here. I think they have a phenomenal chance of pulling off the upset. Everybody, this is GGV saying adios amigos and go Golden Eagles.